Hey my DigiPeeps, what's going on? Hope you're all having a great day, great night, wherever you are in the world. Nude video, and today we're finally going to do this, my review on the brand new Venom 2 Let There Be Carnage, the sequel to the pretty well received 2018 Venom starring Tom Hardy. As always, before I begin, a spoiler alert is in effect for Venom 2 Let There Be Carnage, so if you want to avoid said spoilers, go and watch the film, then come back if you're interested in my views. Now, I hate to start this out negatively, but I'm going to say this for my own personal views. It was not a good film. There was a lot to dislike about this movie, and I came in it with not very high expectations, but hopeful optimism, I'm going to say. They, hopefully could continue the momentum they built from the 2018 film Venom. And I mean, I probably, like all of you, were a bit skeptical, like a Spider-Man villain being in his own starring movie without Spider-Man being in it. I was a bit interested to see how they were going to pull that off in 2018, but they did a good job. This was not a good sequel. Now, if you have watched the 2018 film Venom, you probably know about the cameo at the end with Woody Harrelson and that god-awful red wig. He, of course, come back in this film along with a number of other casts that agreed to this movie, despite some of them not enjoying the first one. And the last film did a good job on building up some unique characters and a unique world for us to dive into with Eddie Brock and Venom, and sort of play out this story of good guy meets this very bad alien that sort of takes him over. And I'm going to say that right off the bat, that it was good to see those types of things returning, like the crazy symbiote Venom attached to Tom Hardy's Eddie Brock, which was very good to see him return. And of course, playing opposite beside him was Michelle Williams, returning as Anne Wying. Not a typical love story, but really enjoyable dynamic between her, Eddie, and Venom. I thoroughly enjoyed that from the last film, as I did from this sequel. Now, there were some highlights from this movie, and we're going to be moving into the negatives now. Let me preface this by saying I try not to be a negative person. I really don't. I try my best to look at the positive side of life, and for the most part, I really have enjoyed my time on this rock. I did not enjoy this movie. Let me start with the elephant in the room, the title, Let There Be Carnage. Woody Harrelson returns, this time without that god-awful wig, thank God. My criticisms of his performance lie in the fact that his crazy could not have felt more forced. I'm crazy and I bite people and I killed my family and I send out cryptic messages. Crazy Cletus. I mean, of course, he's a prime candidate for a symbiote. I mean, why not? That, of course, leads us to Carnage, the infamous black and red big bad, arguably more famous than the titular character Venom. He looked great. I mean, truly, I mean that. If you could give me a live-action Carnage, this is truly how I'd want him to look. The imposing stature, the tendrils, even the suit comes over Cletus. The way it just sort of ejects from his body and overtakes him. Just terrifying, if you ask me. Like his own blood was coming out of him and around to the outside, which was really good visually. Then he started his rampage, forcing his tongue down an officer's throat. I was kind of okay with that. Kind of crazy and kooky, right up the alley for this brand of carnage. Then there was a tornado. This was unnecessary, in my opinion. Not once have I seen any symbiote comics or cartoon or live action for that matter have the ability to create a mini tornado by spinning around as fast as they could. That scene just didn't work for me. All this destruction and death in order to get out and go after his girlfriend, Shriek. a metahuman with the ability to create supersonic sound waves with her screams. Now again, I know that Carnage has her listed as his girlfriend from the comics. How insane that a being who is damaged by only fire and loud sounds is attracted to a woman who has supersonic screams. However, again, for his first live action movie, this didn't work for me. Carnage is just that, Carnage. This is a man who looked up a random name in a phone book and murdered the guy on the spot. He's not driven by his love for another. To quote one of my favourite movie lines that I think fits very well for this character of Carnage, some men aren't looking for anything logical like money. They can't be bought, bullied, reasoned with, or negotiated with. Some men just want to watch the world burn. This should have been the man, or being if you will, that went up against Venom. Someone just looking to kill people without rhyme or reason. Maybe something along the lines that he was threatening the existence of symbiotes and their anonymity in the world, which, mind you, tied in perfectly with the story arc for Venom and what he was going through in this movie. But again, even this was a problem I found with the film. Venom feels like Eddie is wasting his talents and not letting him roam free, not letting him be a predator. Gave him rules like don't eat people, so what's his reaction? Venom bounces and hits the club scenes. An alien with who knows how many years of alien knowledge, a killer who has these amazing abilities. His main goal is to go out and have a night on the town with glow sticks and party around with a whole bunch of bros. Like, are you actually kidding me? Anyway, getting back into the main plot, Cletus performs a daring rescue and roams free with his girlfriend Shriek, who Carnage cannot stand as her screams have been damaging him. The trio gear up for a red wedding. The police officer who captured Shriek, Eddie Brock and Venom, who are all set to be guests at the affair, and they accomplish this by kidnapping both the officer and Anne, luring both Eddie and Venom to save her. The fight was fairly decent. Watching Venom retreat when he exclaimed it was a red one, watching Eddie convince him by stating that he could eat everyone, a bit of humour like that is always welcome. Then a huge mashup of Venom and Carnage going at each other with everything they had. I truly felt like this scene was ripped out of the comics. Which, if you have watched from some of my previous videos, you will know I'm a big fan of these directors doing. All these stories are done for you, years of comic book history, many which have won awards and accolades already. You just need to do that in live action. Carnage seems to be too strong for Venom, despite some help from some outsiders like Anne's fiancé, Dan Lewis. Then my biggest complaint about this whole film. Now I'm going to set the scene for you. Venom is lying there defeated under a pile of rubble. Carnage is arguing with Shriek to shut her mouth, and he knocks her down, to which Cletus takes issue with and tries to break free. Now, upon seeing this, Eddie makes the argument that Cletus and Carnage are not symbiotic. They are not a perfect match. Okay, now, just give me a minute here. Are you kidding me? Carnage and Cletus are not symbiotic. That is your master plan for defeating a character who, again, is arguably more popular and more dangerous than Venom in every single way. This man has taken over an entire city, creating a hive mind from the comic Carnage USA. Venom has always referred to himself as we. We are Venom, or we are going to save you. Carnage refers to himself as I, because the pair are so incredibly symbiotic. Cletus and Carnage make no distinction between their pair, as their crazy, insane interests align so perfectly. I mean, this is how you do Carnage. They are not symbiotic. I mean, get the hell out of here with that bull. Shriek would not argue with Carnage and worry Cletus over her well-being. He would bite her head off and set out to find his next victim. This is a serial killer with no remorse for who gets in his way. Venom would lose 9 times out of 10, and this was not the 1 in 10 shot for Venom to get the win, not by a long shot. I mean, Carnage is. I don't think I could put it a better way than that. Carnage is. Now, I understand I went on a bit of a rant there, but this so-called revelation that Eddie had really annoyed me about this film. So anyway, after Venom exploits his so-called weakness, the symbiotes separate from their hosts, and thanks to Shriek letting out a scream as she falls to her death, I mean, such a big help Cletus was to her in the end. We then get Eddie, who is in mid-fall, have Venom shoot out and attach to Dan, who is holding on to his fiancée Anne. He runs through Dan, over his body, down to his leg, over through Anne's arms, before shooting out to attach back onto Eddie to save him as he hits the ground. Now, even I've got to admit, that was a pretty cool scene. Cletus, however, did not get this luxury. He hits the ground hard as well as Carnage. Then, as the symbiote is crawling over to Cletus, Venom stomps on him and eats him. He eats the Carnage symbiote. 3 years we've been waiting to see this big bad, and now you go and kill him. Oh no, wait a second, it's okay. Cletus is still alive on the ground. He has a small bit of the Carnage symbiote still on him. He'll be back in the sequel. Wrong! Venom picks up Cletus and then bites his head off. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. All the hard work it took to bring the first ever live action Carnage on screen, the many flaws but overall fan favourite serial killer that we created equaled to one end credit scene and one very horrible showing in this first ever feature film. Gone in a matter of probably 1 minute. So now we have to recast Carnage or find a way to bring him back through some multiverse shenanigans. Because I mean, this incarnation of Cletus is well and truly dead. And I mean, if you're like me, please, for the love of everything that is holy, let the MCU handle Carnage and handle Venom the way they only know how to. Sony, they just don't get it. I mean, just a horrible showcase for the first ever live incarnation of Carnage, if you ask me. So then, to top it all off, Sony gets their wish and basically drops Venom right into the MCU universe, and with no rhyme or reason or explanation, just Venom lands on a bed and there's Spider-Man on the TV. And I mean it, if Sony infects the MCU with these characters they do not know how to handle or what they're doing with, I'm going to have to call it quits on any movie these two collaborate with. So anyway, that's my review. As you can tell, I didn't like the overall film. I feel that too many people got involved and ideas were tossed around. Ideas that I feel did not fit these characters in so many ways, which ruined the whole movie for me. Carnage was done so dirty, and I can't believe this is the quality we get from his first ever live action outing. So I don't know if you, my DigiPeeps, agree. I don't know if you disagree. If it's the latter, please comment down below and let me know your thoughts on the movie Venom, Let There Be Carnage. Did you like it? Did you dislike it? Are you looking forward to seeing Venom in the MCU? Like and subscribe, and a bit of a PSA before I go on this one. I am currently less than 24 hours out from some minor surgery and my stomach is doing backflips. I'll be alright, but I'm afraid the recovery time is going to be a few days, so unfortunately videos are going to be on a bit of a hiatus until I'm feeling up for it. I hope you guys don't miss me too much, and I'll definitely be back as soon as I can. Okay, thanks guys. I'll catch you all in the next one.